moving on. We're going to go to skill-based treatment right now. I promise tomorrow there'll be more time for questions. I just want to make sure you leave here. We have an hour left. You got to get a taste of treatment, and it would be sad not to do so. So we're going to talk about treatment. The treatment is intermittent, unpredictable reinforcement of the life skills, communication, toleration, and what we now call contextually appropriate behavior. It's not necessarily compliance. It's expected behavior given the context. Academics at school, gym, running around and playing catch in gym, hygiene in the bathroom, playing independently and quietly in the den at home. Those are contextually appropriate behaviors. I'm not going to show you right now the shaping process. I'm going to show you after those skills were developed for Brandon. They're in what we call CAB 6. CAB 6 is where we've taught him to communicate, we've taught him to tolerate denials, we've taught him to give up his stuff, we taught him to transition, we've taught him to do a whole bunch of work, and then we pushed his buttons and exposed him to things like, if we say, go play quietly on the iPad, and he listens to us, we say, hey, that was good, but I changed my mind. Clean up these blocks instead. Hey, that was good. Why don't you try this? So we're trying to teach the mom that we can't turn on problem behavior. And then we brought in the real challenge. We had mom ignore him completely and play games on her phone. She's not off task. She describes this as a wish list item. I wish I could just look at my phone without him coming over and trying to grab it and crying and da-da-da. It seems like a small thing, but it's not. There are certain wish list items for parents. We try to figure out what those things are, and we make sure that before we transfer to parents, we put in that wish list context. This is the wish list context. Please notice the skills, and notice Ditu's interactions with the boy.
Did you memorize all those already?
Yes.
You're so smart. Okay, dude, I want to play with those toys now. I want you to read books. Yeah. No, not now. Thanks for saying that's cool. It's my turn. Thank you. You can take these books and you can go sit over there.
This?
The 2 books, yeah, this one too. Oh, you know what? That's enough reading. I need you to actually come help me over here. Come pick up the crab. Good. Grab this yellow truck and put it in the bucket. Hey, great work, dude. You can have your way. That was so fantastic. You cleaned by yourself and you helped me clean up?
We call it sweaty.
You're the man.
Sweaty FCT. Sweaty FCT, we're very fast. The child says, Maya, we were like, of course. But we cool it off to prepare the child for all the inevitable delays. You'll notice Ditu was acting like he was high. Remember that high thing? Remember I said the slow people, the high people? I want them in treatment. I don't want them in the analysis. Excuse me, Ditu, my way, please? Ditu's like, sure, why not? Do you see what I mean? It starts, everything's fast, everything's crisp, there's a lot of signals. By the end of treatment, we erode that stuff to help kids deal with that ambiguity. Please understand, in treatment, the child's communication pays off immediately some of the time. This is not delay always, this is delay sometimes. Sometimes when the child says, that's cool, that gets him to my way. If we want child to handle disappointment, we have to pay off the handling of disappointment sometimes. But most of the time we say no. Sometimes he has to do a little bit of work, sometimes a minute. Sometimes he has to play independently for 10 minutes, despite being only 3 years old. We do not foreshadow. There's no laminate. There's no timers. There's no warnings. We're trying to teach kids to deal with ambiguity and disappointment. We try to maintain the skills through intermittent, unpredictable reinforcement, and we keep hope alive that way. This is normally what kids look like early in the process. It goes away. Excuse me. Yes, buddy. May I have my way, please? No. Okay, no problem. Then they walk away. Good. Clean up your toys, please, and they check in. Just cleaning up. Just want to let you know. Okay. Look at me. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of check-in. There's a lot of social referencing. because they never know which behavior is going to pay out. We like to say this is what keeps hope alive. What kills hope are often if-then statements, warnings, and timers. This kills hope. Okay, buddy, put the iPad up. You're going to have to do a little work for 39 minutes. That's a hope killer right there, folks. Here's another hope killer. We're having fun. This is great. I just wanted to remind you of your schedule. The next thing we're going to do is math. You know, math, where you never succeed. I just wanted to let you know. Just wanted to give you a warning that you are about to suck really bad in about 3, 2, 1. Let's suck. There's none of that. I'm just making fun of things for obvious reason. We try to keep hope alive. Here's another example.
I'll push the apple off, he said. Let's do some work.
Excuse me.
What's up, buddy?
English, please.
No way, Jose.
Okay.
You should have seen. Okay. Alright, you can have your way.
This team felt compelled to give him
And
check
he
marks for
pushed and he
feedback. I think that's
struggled,
lovely,
and he
but he doesn't know
heaved
how
and
many he needs to
tugged.
earn
That'll
for
brush
reinforcement.
everything off. And then what happens? I don't know. We're gonna do some work to find out.
Excuse me.
What's up?
English, please.
No.
Okay.
He's just saying, okay. Let's circle all of the C's.
Please note, Diego hadn't passed an IEP, tabletop IEP goal in about 1.5 years, 3 programs. Any attempt to get him to do anything under your instructional control led to headbanging or aggression.
Perfect. Alright, buddy. Go ahead. Your way.
I love showing kids using scissors in the videos. I try to find scissor clips, if you will. Okay. I didn't show you the baseline video for this young lady. What I want you to really notice is how the reinforcer here is not the iPad. The reinforcer is controlling others. I said it. I said the word control. Is control a reinforcer? Yes. If you say I said that, I'm going to deny it in peer review, and I'm going to say I said it here. Of course control is a reinforcer. Wake up, field. We have a whole bunch of studies showing control is a reinforcer. The ability to control things and people, choice is a reinforcer. Just please know in functional analysis, Phil, it's hard to get functional control over control as a reinforcer. And if you want to talk more about that, I'm happy to, but it's very challenging experimentally to control control. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist in nature. Just because our methods are limited to capture it doesn't mean it's not a phenomenon. Man compliance is a scientifically defensible way to say that, perhaps, but I just want you to see what she does in reinforcement. Please know, before these videos, she was in a day hab program. She had 2 staff to 1. She was in her own room. She wasn't allowed to be near other clients because she engaged in too much aggression towards them. And she had a little mat where she would go to and bang her head against the wall. The good thing is they got SIB under stimulus control. Right now she is 1-to-1. She's in the habilitative environment with her peers. She's very socially interactive, and her mom always reports how happy she is right now. Please notice how available her staff member is when she's on reinforcement, and then what she does, obviously.
Okay, Sammy, time to get off the iPad.
Excuse me?
No. Yeah, Sammy?
May I have my way, please?
Not right now. Let's do a little bit of work first.
Just about a summer gecko. Running high
So
over
let's read the title.
Animal seed plant. I just write my name.
And then you're going to cut these things at the bottom. So what does this say?
Animal seed plants for shelter. Animal seed plants for food.
Okay, so you have to pick which ones go under which category.
Okay.
Okay, so cut it out.
Oh, my fingers are getting so sore.
My cat and bear.
Sometimes kids use clay.
Okay, I'm showing this video because she's using scissors, but also the reinforcement interval. You notice the teacher's very casual with reinforcement. We don't want to have a lot of counter control, so it's not like, good job, you earned reinforcement. It's a little bit more nuanced, a little more casual.
Oh, come on. That looks like being, no.
No, these are wordy.
Oop. The
So we may do
boy
this with Lewis.
thought about
That's it. Rock, paper, scissors. See who goes first.
You want to do rock, paper, scissors? All right.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
It's a tie. Rock,
Paper, scissors, shoot. May, your turn.
Okay.
Versus Miss Lindley.
Okay, it's a tournament.
All right.
Rock,
Michael,
paper,
scissors, shoot.
Ben and Chris.
All right. Who are we going up against, though? Are you going to do it?
Yeah, you're gonna do it.
All right, Mr. Chris and Mr. Ben have to.
And Chris.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
All right. Brittany and May again.
Now, Brittany is working with Michael
Yeah.
right now. So.
You boys have to do it again.
Alright, again. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
No, again.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
It's not acceptable.
All right, Sammy, time to give up the iPad.
Excuse me?
Yo.
Yes,
May I have my
Sammy.
lip, please?
Yes, you may.
Good girl.
She's hilarious. She has a rich personality. First, when the EO's presented, this is her normal stance. She's a little irritated with it, but she just holds it. This is how she holds it together. Understand, everyone's saying she controls people. How do we leverage that? How do we manage that? How do we deliver that as a reinforcer? The team comes up with all this, saying when we can play rock, paper, scissors, who's going to play. She likes to change the rules. She can change the rules when it's her way, but when it's their way, rocks do certain things and paper does other things, the way everyone else plays it. Do you see what I'm saying? There's all sorts of ways to provide the socially controlling reinforcers during her way. Okay. What's the treatment? Question?
Yeah, just quick.
We got a question.
How many hours of one-on-one treatment for the first video did it take till he was...
Very good. If you the question is how many hours of video did it take for the first video? I'm not sure I know the answer for Brandon, but I'm going to give it a stab guess. I'll say 25 teaching hours at most, but maybe closer to 20. If you read our publications, we put 3 things on the x-axis nowadays, and since 2014. We put sessions, which we won't for much longer, but anyway, sessions. What's the other one? Well, the calendar dates. That's my point. We put sessions, sessions, visits, how many clinic visits if it's an outpatient model, and calendar dates so we can give you those things. In our company, we're collecting those data now, but basically on average it takes 25 to 30 teaching hours to get through the process where they're at the point they're at now. That's what I mean. It's like teaching them a sport. It takes practice. Now the moderators of the speed of the process are not the severity of behavior. Nor is it IQ, and nor is it age. Just because someone's been practicing SIB for 40 years doesn't mean they're going to go slower through the process. In fact, they'll probably go faster. The moderators of the speed of the process are, number 1, can they echo and imitate? Number 2, do they already come under some instructional control? If they can already follow verbal instructions, if they can echo and imitate, they tend to go through the process quicker. If they can't, it takes a little bit more micro-teaching to get them there. So that's really dictates the speed. And I'm talking about 25 to 30 hours before we transfer to all relevant people, all relevant places, all relevant expectations. Okay, so this does take some time.
As long as 3 years that they spent prior to this.
Well, there you go. I mean, some kids are in programs for a year not making progress.
An hour sounds pretty fast to me.
Well, there you go. Let's break it down into other venues. Dr. Jessel, when he ran the outpatient clinic, I didn't think I mentioned this in that study. Those kids were in that study, in that hospital outpatient for 2 weeks. They got 5 to 6 hours a day of this process. The date I showed you, the black dots up, the white dots down, that's 1 week. Because 25 hours occurred during the 1 week. Second week was all parent training. You can do this in 2 weeks if you have a child for 5 to 6 hours a day, which many of us do because it's school-based. The worst model is our model when we started out, outpatient clinic, 3 hours a week, 3 visits a week. It's the worst. Calendar time, it took us 2 to 3 months. It took Josh 2 weeks. It's all about the dosing. Are you going to mass it or do you distribute it? But please know it'll be about 25 to 30. And it'll be a little faster if you mass it. There's less decay between sessions. So this is the words, this is the treatment. Here's a schematic for the treatment once it's in place. Communication is honored about 1 out of 5 times. Most of the time it's denied. When they're denied, we teach a tolerance response. Okay, I'm cool, I understand. That yields reinforcement some of the time, but most of the time we say, good, thank you for understanding, let's go. And we transition to wherever, the bathroom, the gym, the academic table, and we do some work. Sometimes it's independent play if it's in the home. Sometimes it's a little bit, sometimes it's a lot. That then yields the same reinforcer. That's a schematic of it. Okay. This is going to hurt your brain. Don't look in the packets. The second packet's a treatment packet. We will go over this in detail tomorrow. It has data sheets in it. I want to be clear about this. A lot of people say, well, how do we do this? How do we know which skill to reinforce? How do we do intermittent unpredictable reinforcement? This data sheet is not just to score whether they engage in the skill independently or not. Each trial tells you what to reinforce at different steps in the process. At this step, on this trial, you're going to reinforce a tolerance response, or a CAB 2, a CAB 1, communication, CAB 3. There's an algorithm here. We randomize the skills, we slowly shape. Listen, folks, this is just shaping. Shaping is always considered an art. If it's considered an art, we will never be good at it. Right? It's not about aesthetics and all that. Shaping can be a science. We're just trying to give a technology to shaping. This treatment process is just task analysis, differential reinforcement, and shaping. And what these data sheets do is allow you to collaborate with paraprofessionals and parents to shape. Sometimes experts do the shaping. If you've never done this before and you're a BCBA, I would strongly recommend you do the shaping the first time so you can see what it feels like. This is not meant for office BCBAs. Don't raise your hand. If you like going to your office and writing tidy little plans and then delivering them via mail to the staff, this is not for you. This is about get in there and show somebody. If you ever want to say you're not doing it right, I strongly encourage you to show them that you know how to do it right. This is a do-it process. However, most of the time when people do it, it's collaborative. Early on, the process looked like this. I'll draw with my hand. If I go to the public school, we're working with the client. When I'm there, we're going to do the analysis together. We're going to collaborate, the para and I. And then we're going to do FCT. And then when I leave, I'm going to say practice FCT. The same way we ended up on. Practice. When I come back next time, we're going to work together on shaping it to the next level. When I leave, practice. When I come back, we're going to shape. At this point, the third visit, I ask myself, can this person handle the shaping? Most of the time, the answer is yes. Then they shape without me. When I show up, do I say, show me your data? No. I say, show me. Work with the child and show me what you got. The proof's in the pudding. When we consult with people, they send us graphs, they send us data sheets, and those are lovely, but that's not important. I want to see the video. Show me. And so this is a prove it process. This is a BCBA's do it. We are shapers. If you never read an article, it's in Psychology Today when that magazine first started. That magazine, if you don't know this, Psychology Today was founded by one of B.F. Skinner's students, Epstein. He was the editor of it. He may still be the editor of it. There's an article in the late 70s. It's one of my favorite pieces ever published. It's called Shapers at Work. It was published in the late 70s as little pictures of all the behavior analysts doing this stuff back in the day. All your heroes, men and women, are there. And the article has amazing hope. You read that article and you can't help but get jacked up. They're talking like behavior analysts. These shapers are going to just change the world. Well, it didn't happen, did it? Shaping is where it's at. That article makes it clear that all these people, what they had in common is they shaped important repertoires of behavior. I want us to get back to shaping, but shaping's hard. You need some technology of support, and you need to practice it. And so that's what this data sheet will hopefully allow you to do. Okay. Now when the skills are all shaped, how do you maintain them? This was the first way we maintained them, with slips of paper. Take a look at these slips. There's 1, 2, 3 FCRs. That means there's a 3 out of 10 chance you're going to pull one of those things out and you're going to reinforce communication. There's 2 tolerance responses. This says 10 minutes of independent play, 2 minutes of independent play. 2 trials, 36 trials. A few years ago, the sole BCBA for both Nicaragua and Guatemala reached out and asked if they could come visit the clinic. And instead, after some conversation, we decided I would go down there. And they watched all these free videos on the internet, and I got down there and a whole bunch of teachers down in Nicaragua. Please know there's 1 BCBA for everybody. They serve over well over 100 families. I don't know exactly how many. All these teachers are walking around with slips of paper in their pocket. These people learn to do this through videos available on the internet. That's why I'm confident we can do this stuff. All it takes are these slips of papers to do unpredictable, intermittent reinforcement. It looks like this. When the child's on reinforcement, you look, that's now your expectation. Stand up, disappoint them. If it's communication, honor it. If it's a lot of trials, progress towards that. Here's all the stuff you don't need. Get your pen ready, write this list out. Yep, here we go. You got it? All the stuff you don't have to write it down as a joke. Again, I understand why we use these things. We'll always need these things given different objectives. But when kids have severe problem behavior, the motivation is there. We're just leveraging it, putting it into a schedule that mimics life, intermittent unpredictable reinforcement. And you can do that just with these slips of paper. Please know this is a treatment that fits within life. This is what we like to call backward designed. This is not forward designed from the basic laboratory or from the clinic. This is backward designed from life. Let me tell you about one of my greatest failures with forward design. Raise your hand if you know what a multiple schedule is. Excellent. My first behavior analytic class I ever took, I had a degree in English. I was working at a fancy pants hospital and they paid for me to take my first behavioral analysis class, and I got to take it with A.C. Catania. Charlie Catania, your neighbor to the north in Baltimore. I love that class. I love that textbook and the glossary in the back, and I love schedules. And so that set off my early career as a young researcher in graduate school, because I work with good people and they let me kind of come up with some of my own stuff. And I remember when I managed group homes, I used to do this thing where I wore a little green button, and that meant the clients can talk to me and all that stuff. When I had a red button on, that meant I'm doing payroll. Please give me some peace. That was a little game we played. But lo and behold, I didn't realize that that whole red light, green light game conforms to a fancy schedule called a multiple schedule. And we did a little research on multiple schedules. And it goes like this. When the green card is out, when the child mans, you honor it. When the red card's out and the child mans, you don't honor it. It's a way to build in non-reinforcement without extinguishing the newly acquired mand. So we published a couple studies on it. I'm working with a family in Kansas, a mom in particular. She's got 3 children, one on the spectrum with very severe self-injury. We did okay. I don't think we did great, but the mom really loved what she did. She was great with implementation, and we did a multiple schedule. So she called me a year or so later when I was living in New England, and she was telling me about going to the Grey Wolf Lodge. You know the Grey Wolf Lodge? You know what that looks like? It's like an indoor water park in the hotel. So she's telling me how she's taking her kids there, and then she lets 2 of her kids go swim, but the child with autism, she puts the red card up, and he's saying, pool, pool, pool. And she's like, no, have a seat. And she has him do a few things at the table, which I'm really impressed. This is an amazing mom. She's practicing this. She's taking this on the road. So then she changes to green, and he says, pool, and she says, of course. She's very proud as she's describing this to me on the phone. She's playing this game throughout the day. Well, what happens is some lifeguard goes and does one of these. If you ever have little kids and you go to the Grey Wolf Lodge, you know what this means. This means there's a deuce in the pool. And they are sending the signal down to the lowest paid member of Grey Wolf Lodge who has to get the net and scoop the poop out of the pool. When there's poop in the pool, the kid's got to get out of the pool. So the lifeguard, he's in a little splash zone. The lifeguard's trying to get this little boy on the spectrum out of the pool. The mom comes running up because the lifeguard's having no success, and the little boy points way across the lodge at the green card hanging from the umbrella stand. And he's saying, pool, pool, pool. And the mom's saying, no, we got to get out. So the little boy gets so upset he slips out of her grip and gets on his hands and knees and cracks his head open. And his mom reported they needed staples and stitches in his forehead. Now please know, mom did that behavioral intervention with perfect integrity. She was the best implementer I've ever met, including behavior analysts. People are still writing grants to study multiple schedules to address severe problem behavior. They'll never fit with the demands of life. That treatment is forward designed from a Skinner box, and it's not good enough. I love basic research and our principles. It's the foundation upon which our stuff is built, but we need to think about reverse engineering our treatments from life. Parents need to be able to say no whenever they have to. They can't rely on a signal or a promise because life breaks promises. What this treatment does is allow parents, again, to say no when they have to and yes when they feel like it. Teachers too. Okay. So some people ask me, well, why don't you compare your skill-based treatment with the multiple schedule? Because I don't need that answer. I have that answer for myself. This treatment is backward designed and has good fit. It teaches kids to deal with inevitable, unpredictable ambiguity and disappointment. Because let's face it, folks, for every up in life, there's a down. Life sucks. Every day, life sucks. Sorry, I'm a little base. That's how I talk. But every day, life can be pretty great. It's a roller coaster. And we need to help kids deal with being on that roller coaster. And every red, green card, laminate, Velcro thing that we throw in there is not good enough. Okay. My colleagues at New England Center for Children, who I used to work with on this process, they told me that these weren't good enough. They thought this was cheese. So we found some apps. These are called randomizer apps. They're available on the free website. They're 99 cents. What you do is you shake your phone and it tells you what the behavioral expectation will be in that next EO. Sometimes people like these instead because you can spin it. I want to be clear what you don't do. This is what you don't do. The kid's on reinforcement, you're hanging out, everything's lovely, then you're like, whoosh. Ho ho, let's see what you got, let's see. Oh, 36 trials, sucker. Put that down, let's go. Don't tell kids what the expectation is. We're trying to toughen them up to that ambiguity. Okay, this is to be private. Also, don't call kids suckers. Unless you're from the West Side and you're trying to get fired.